sector is one of the most labor-intensive economic activities and provides direct employment and livelihood to more than 10 million people worldwide. More than half of them are women. With the advent of current phase of globalization, or more precisely since 1998, most of these people are facing a serious threat to their survival as tea industry has plunged into a deep crisis.
These people who are directly employed are now facing a situation where their employment security is threatened, their income security is threatened, their social welfare is threatened, the children of their education is at stake, because in many gardens are either closed or abandoned by the management. And this closure and abandonment, according to the management, is because the production of green leaf tea is no more economically viable.
Increasing cost of production, lowering demand, and competition are having adverse impact on the workers who are hit hard by structural changes in the tea industry, including privatization of production and casualization of work, mainly women, in the name of achieving efficiency and optimization of costs. Sri Lanka is experiencing this.
The seasonal and the temporary labor, one side we are in the trying to promote outdoor system. In the big companies, they are using the seasonal and temporary labor. This is focusing mainly the women.
Restructuring is also a reality in Africa.
So this system, however, were again interrupted by IFM and the World Bank. As you know, they are very powerful, as the one speaker has been saying, financial capital. So they said, if you want the loan, then you have to start privatization, and they also to abolish the workers' council, and the government had to obey because it didn't have money. So again, the condition of workers were very bad because now the decision making was not there.
Large establishments and estates are hiving off green leaf production to avoid labor standards. In India, many gardens remain either closed or abandoned by managements. The result? There is a large-scale displacement of workers and abuse of their labor and human rights.
As a result of this uneven competition, more than 60,000 workmen were thrown out of employment during the last 10 years.
At the other end of the value chain, at the brands and retailer segments, there has been consolidation and capital investment.
There is a process of disintegration at the level of production of green leaf, and there is consolidation at the level of brands.
All these have encouraged the growth of small growers and standalone green leaf processing factories, which are becoming key players in production of tea.
In the Kenyan case, as opposed to other African countries, but specifically Tanzania, our production is particularly dominated by the smallholders who have expanded so much, such that by the year 2004, which was the yesteryear, the contribution of the smallholders to the total tea production stands at 59%.
In the absence of institutional and government backing, this growing segment work in substandard working environment and poor infrastructure. At the macro level, the WTO regime prompts reduction of trade barriers and tariffs across the borders and has meant a fall in the price of tea globally.
There has also been a huge inflow of tea as well into India. Part of the strategy of the advanced countries through trade liberalization which is imposed on developing countries is to make the developing countries compete against each other.
Policy of the tariff reduction which the respective governments have undertaken is contributing to the mutual import of tea, which in a sense is also contributing to the fall in prices of tea in the respective countries.
The result: tea as a commodity is fast losing steam, and correspondingly the producers and workers at the bottom of the chain have to bear the burden of working in constraints and compromises.
Division between the small producer and the plantation sector is something which is fundamentally at the root of why industry can be so tough with the labor in the plantation sector.
As it happens to be traditionally, tea workers in Asia are from vulnerable sections, migrant laborers, ethnic minorities, or Dalits. The new situation in their lives and occupation has made their life uncertain and chaotic. They remain subjects of exploitation, neglect, and political insignificance. To lend voice to their concerns and safeguard their identity and rights, December 15th was declared as International Tea Day.
In the month of January, in Porto Alegre, the trade union and the different NGOs and the national trade unions and trade unions from the also different parts of the world assembled in the Porto Alegre, and there we had long discussions on the condition of the plantation workers, and then we arrived at a conclusion that globally the plantation workers should unite and we should have a tea day.
To observe the first International Tea Day, representatives of workers and small growers, trade unions, and academics from 11 major tea-producing countries of Asia and Africa held an international tea conference in New Delhi in December 2005.
The main objective of this International Tea Day and convention are to assure the rights of tea plantation workers and to small growers within the context of globalization, and also to bring to the attention of the wider public locally and internationally the problems faced by the tea industry.
The participating countries including Bangladesh, Indonesia, Malaysia, Vietnam, Nepal, Sri Lanka and India from Asia, and Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania and Malawi from Africa adopted a universal declaration on the rights of tea workers and small growers. In solidarity, workers and trade unionists from different parts of India assembled at Constitution Club, New Delhi on December 15, 2005, making history.
A new history in the tea industry is being created today by observing International Tea Day globally, particularly in those parts of the world where tea is produced.
The declaration called upon respective governments and international institution UNCTAD and FAO to constitute an international tea commission to promote and strengthen the tea industry, and particularly to protect the interests of workers and small growers. The workers and small growers affirmed the principles of decent work and called for the implementation of ILO standards in work, the right to organize, bargain collectively and other labour rights. The declaration further called for gender equality through stoppage of all forms of exploitation, including sexual harassment of women, who form bulk of the workforce in most of the tea-producing regions, elimination of occupational hazards, and proper reproductive health care for women workers. Right of joint ownership to homestead land, to remove all vestigious confinement in tea gardens. Provisions of social security net and proper regulatory mechanism for closing gardens. And institutional support for workers' cooperatives to take over such estates. Rehabilitation of laid-off workers and protection of their rights. Elimination of child labour. Establishment of an independent authority to address the problems of small growers, and democratic and transparent price fixation system. Participation of small growers in the management of processing factories, and the annual observance of International Tea Day on December 15th. Spare a thought for those who make tea for us. Observe International Tea Day December 15th each year.